So you want to tell them about what happened there when you said, yeah, my name is Clement. And I was like, that's
Yes,
interesting. Yeah, talk to me a little bit about that.
yes. So I introduced myself as Clement because when I went to study abroad, that's when I said my name is Clement. They didn't understand and said, "Oh, okay, the way I read it is Clement, right?" I was like, "Okay, yeah, it's Clement." So I accepted that way to call me Clement, but that's not the name that my parents gave me. And
Mm.
that's why you were saying, like, if people continue to call you in a name that it's not you, your energy is also different, your frequency also change. So you need to be firm and tell them, okay, listen, it's Clement,
Mm-hmm.
and if you cannot speak it, let me teach you.
Welcome to Impact and Fulfillment with Coach Mike D, where you'll gain practical wisdom and dynamic insight from amazing conversations to live your best life.
What's going on, y'all? This is Coach Mike D with another episode of Impact and Fulfillment. And this conversation is special. This is a global conversation. This is a conversation with a brother who's doing the doggone thing. And he's got a unique story, right? And that's one of the things that I like to highlight in, my, talks with individuals, is really finding people who have unique stories, who are doing things that maybe in the US we might think is a little uncommon, or hearing someone with a perspective that might be a little bit different than maybe we're used to, because that allows us to see that what we're doing and how we're doing it is not necessarily just a local thing, it's a global thing. And we're having a global conversation, and we're having one with my man, Clement Iradukunda, right?
Yes,
And did I say that correct?
yes, you said
There
that
you go.
correct, Mike.
Okay. Making sure. I was practicing a little bit. And my man is literally he's born right outside of Belgium, outside of Brussels, Belgium, but he's of African descent, right? And the brother is educated, he's a communicator, he's a go-getter. And in our conversation, we'll probably dive into how he and I actually got connected. And it's interesting. I've actually kind of donned him the Afropean connector, because this little dude here, man, like this young brother, he's really on it, and he's gifted with regard to building bridges and connections between people, and he's found a special place in his heart for highlighting creators and entrepreneurs and movers and shakers throughout the continent of Europe that are of African descent, and helping them tell their stories in a really dynamic fashion. So we'll dive into what he's doing there. But ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome my man, Clement Iradukunda. What's up, brother?
What's up, Mike? Oh my God, what an introduction. I'll be like, is this me?
Yeah, look, it's all you, man. What's interesting about introductions, and for people who don't necessarily get an introduction about them read regularly, it does come as a surprise sometimes. You're like, yo, hold up, man. I do sound kind of important. Or like, yo, I guess I do bring something to the table. And I think that's important. And maybe this is something going forward that we all need to find opportunities in which we can be introduced, so that we can be reminded of how special we actually are. Because a lot of times we forget that no matter what, we might not be some A-list celebrity, but we're still special. We're special to somebody, we're special to ourselves, and we bring some type of value to the world. So I'm glad that you thought about that, but maybe that's an inspiration for those listening to us now, to find ways to periodically let somebody introduce you, so that you can help that confidence to build inside, that you bring something valuable to the table.
Wow, it's beautiful, man. Like I can express, like, how I feel very privileged to being in your show, Mike Dorsey, and I'm looking forward to jump into it, and to also represent Belgium for once, because it's always the States, the Netherlands, those big countries, and sometimes we minimize how amazing people here in Belgium we are doing for the continent. And you will find also in this conversation how it all connects, with everybody at the end of the day. So yeah, Mike, I'm curious about this conversation. Yeah, and let's go.
Awesome, man. You mentioned the word connection and how things connect. I want you, before we jump into your story, I want you to share some of your personal connections, and I want you to really give some shout outs to individuals, maybe it's your team, your family, whoever, that really has served as the wind beneath your wings to help propel you to where you are to this day.
First and foremost, like, I have to thank the Lord, who's a ultimate connector, who connects us with everybody. Like, like having now a conversation with you. A second of all, like, my biological father who created me, where I came through my mother. So I just want to allow to those two people, by their connection, created me. So shout out to them first, and also my beautiful sisters, who are very supportive in everything that I do. They correct me though. They guide me. They show me how to be a man, and I truly believe like it's only women who can only show you how to be a man.
That's interesting.
Yes. So, and also like shout out to my team, Dylan Fontaine, Precious Herbos, who are actually the guys behind this collaboration. And both of my brothers are also one from Congo, another from Nigeria, and I'm from Rwanda, to show you literally how diverse we are within the African continent, and that we can collaborate. That's something that sometimes we don't celebrate, that we can despite our borders, that we definitely can create something together, and do it for the future, and see something like, oh, we actually want to change the world. And how we do that is by connecting one another, and that's how we want to do it.
Man, it's so powerful, because you're born and raised in Belgium. You're of Rwandan descent, with your partners that you all's production company that you have going on. One is from the Congo and one is from Nigeria, or they're of Congolese and Nigerian descent. Now, were they both born in Europe, or were they born on the continent of Africa and then relocated to Belgium at some point?
So I think my brother Precious, was born in Nigeria and then relocated here. But my brother Dylan, he's from a mixed race family. So mother is from Congo, and father from Belgium. So he was born here. Honestly, I was born in Rwanda, so I relocated here in Belgium. To correct you for a second.
Okay, gotcha.
And but at the end of the day, like, yeah, we've been raised here. We have the Belgian mindset. We have the culture aspect from our parents, that we strive. And sometimes people say like, yeah, you're black, but you're not Belgium. And I try to remind people that your location doesn't really matter. It's about like who you are and how you feel. And you can always learn the best of both worlds. And that's how we allow to focus ourselves, like, okay, what is great that we learn from our culture, and we don't need to forget where we come from, but what are the things and values and systems that we can utilize from the Western world.
Man, I'm gonna tell you, and like I mentioned, ladies and gentlemen, how this is going to be a powerful conversation that connects the dots, and it bridges across various cultural, racial, geographical lines. When you talked about your parents coming from, and you being born in Rwanda, but your parents also coming from Rwanda, but you bring a lot of those cultural nuances, those cultural practices, those cultural understandings, but then you're mixing and mashing it with some of the systems, the tools, the technology, and the things that are available in the Western world. It's interesting to hear that because you're more directly connected to the history than I am as an African American, where, you know, we are at least 6, 7, 8 generations removed from the continent of Africa. But we still, we can do genetic testing and find, you know, I have genetic lineage to, you know, parts of Nigeria, Congo, Cameroon, some of Mali. I mean, we can look at all of that with genetic testing, but a lot of the cultural history that got passed down due to the, you know, to the negative impact of slavery in the African American experience, some of that culture, some of those cultural nuances got watered down or completely removed. And so we're now present day trying to look back and tap into some of those cultural nuances that you have direct connection to with your parents, right? Mm-hmm. So I have access to all the tools and all the social stuff and all the things, the systems or whatever here in America. But for a lot of African Americans, we struggle with the cultural piece because we don't have that direct line like you do.
That's true. That's something that sometimes, you know, we people from the continent here in Belgium is that, you know, we take that for granted. You know, when you know where you're from, when you know, blessed to hear from your parents your mother tongue, those culture values, like, you know, it really connects you with, you know, who you are. And the moment when you understand who you are, it gives peace to however you maneuver here in the West. And, you know, and it's a great thing. And I think also, like, the US, you know, at the end of the day has a big influence to the youth, but also to the general population, you know, of African people here in, you know, in Europe. So the way, you know, people from the US, you know, behave, talk, you know, sports, culture, we are influenced. And sometimes, you know, people say like they don't have a responsibility, but I think they do, because, you know, when you come here, you see the way we dress. Sometimes you want to dress like Americans, etc. Especially back in the days. We listen all those songs, you know, we even, you know, start to rap, sing, you know, in ways, you know, that, you know, came from, you know, the influence from the United States. So you do have a culture, and I think that culture that you guys have is something that you need more to embrace, and to say, like, to give value to it. And I think sometimes, you know, also when you're a kid here in Belgium, sometimes you don't really value your culture as much as, you know, the Western. And, you know, it creates, you know, a mental, you know, shift, or a mental, you know, distinction that you say, like, or even you forget who you are. And, you know, that's where, you know, separation comes to. And the more you start to value who you are, the more you start to love who you are. And I really want to take an example. Like recently was, you know, the World Cup. Like everybody was rooting for their own country, right? Be proud who they are. And at the end of the day, there was nothing like such as, you know, discriminative about that. Like, why can't you, you know, be proud who you are, and also, you know, maneuver in, you know, different countries where you go to visit or live.
You know, and it's interesting that you even mentioned that, because part of the appeal of America, part of the appeal of the United States literally revolves around narrative, marketing, and storytelling. Okay. So you could probably argue that the United States over the last 150 years or so has basically had the best storytelling, marketing, and narrative creation. And they've exported that around the world. And so to that point, it's very appealing. That's, something that people want to be like. They're like, okay, we want to be like this guy. We want to have the swag like this person. We want to do things like this group or that group. And it's interesting that you say that, because when you think about narrative, storytelling, and marketing, it's all about being creative in how you position what you have. But you have to be confident and comfortable in what you have, that what you have is valuable enough that other people would be interested in it. And I said that because I think this is a really interesting segue into what you're currently doing, because you have a company called Klitsch, right? And so Klitsch Talks, you all interview dynamic entrepreneurs, business owners, creatives, all throughout the continent of Africa, and primarily, throughout the continent of Europe, primarily those that are of African descent. But you're helping them with their narrative, their storytelling, and their marketing to best position themselves to grow and spread their message. Talk to us a little bit about Klitsch and what led you to start, or what led you all to collaborate and start that.
So let me give you a little bit backstory about that, because I went to study abroad, when I was 18, 19 in Denmark. Shout out to Denmark, I love you guys. IBA. So I went to study international marketing, right? And when I was there, my first year, Mike, this is maybe it's gonna sound a little bit crazy for you, but for me, it was like an eye opener. I saw a big black African brother with a hoodie, with dreads, and he was our teacher of marketing.
Wow.
And he told us, like, yo guys, look to your left and look to your right. At the end of the day, you're all gonna finish with the same degree, right? But the difference is who's gonna connect with everybody. And Mike, for some reason, it stuck with me. First of all, like the visualization to see a brother who looks like me, don't need to compromise the way he dress, but has the intellectual capacity to share his knowledge, and I feel connected. And Mike, that was the first time that I had a black teacher.
Wow, that's amazing. Outside of your parents. See,
outside of my parents.
See, we can't omit the fact that even our parents might not be our teachers in the classroom, but our parents are our first teachers. And so we can't omit that. But yes, wow, that's fascinating.
So when I saw that, for me, it was like an eye opener, and he was like, hey, my name is Tinashe, I'm 25 years old. I just finished studying in UK, and I'm going to be a teacher of marketing. And I was like, what? Is that even possible? Because for me as a youngster, I didn't see that. All my teachers were white males or women. So seeing that at the age of 19, it sparked everything for me. It's like, especially in higher education and in Denmark. Let me give you the context. In Denmark, there's not a lot of black people.
There's no black people in Denmark, hardly.
There's no black people in Denmark. So it gave me, for me, that was the first storytelling. And when I saw that, I was like, okay, this is amazing. And then I went on, my second year in St. Louis, Missouri, MO, to CMO, to study over there as well, to continue my education. And then my third year, I finished in Denmark as well. So when I came back, I was such in a high in those 3 years, meeting different people from all walks of life, different cultures, because they were my families for 3 years, so I had to connect. I had to be with everybody. And when I came back, I was like so happy, and I was like, yo, where are all those amazing young people who are doing things and everything here in Belgium? And I couldn't find them. I couldn't find them, Mike. I was like, what is this? And it took me a year or two to say, because after 3 years you also lose your full network as well. Everybody went to study, so there is a disconnect. So when I came back and I said, like, I need to change something, and every single time when I saw, like, Black entrepreneurs post videos or products on their social platforms, I always say, like, oh, this is not good, like, this is bad. And I was always criticizing, but I was not helping.
Ooh, whoa, I was always criticizing, but I was not helping. Y'all put a pin in that. Y'all put a pin in that thought right there. Go ahead, though.
I was always criticizing, but I was not helping. And and every single time I was like, Clem, you study marketing? I'm like, okay, yeah. So what? I didn't make the connection. And then I was like, I remember that moment that my teacher Tinashe said, like, hey, the most important thing is to connect with other people. And that's what I combine everything. That's why we name it Klitsch, and old
and
English.
What does Klitsch stand for?
Stick together.
Okay, Klitsch. And is that in the Belgian language, or what?
No, Klitsch is in the English language, and that's where the marketing aspect that was very important for me. How to appeal, how to tell your story. What does a word mean? It has to connect with everything that you're doing. It was beyond just interviews. Is the way we live, and a mantra also at Klitsch is be curious, because I remember when you're a kid, like you want to try things. You're curious about things. Or when you travel, you want to you want to try that different food. You want to go to that restaurant. You want to try that culture. You're very curious about everything that you're doing, and that's what we want to bring back actually in Klitsch Talk, in those conversations, in those video content that we are creating, is showing our black people or African people, okay, what are you doing right now? And let me create it and tell a story that is accurate and that is valuable for people. And that's when we started, like, hey, let's not start immediately with the product or services that they are doing, but let's have a sit down. Like,
let's talk about them. Let's learn about them. People.
Exactly.
And that to me is kind of the missing piece. And again, it goes back to the notion of narrative, marketing, and storytelling, right? Like, who is the person? Like, let's get beyond the product or the service they're selling. Who is the person behind it? Like, what's their story? And it's interesting, again, like you mentioned, you being born in Rwanda but raised in Belgium, there's a story there, right? Yeah. Growing up and having your family, kind of pour into you culturally while you were absorbing the systems and the tech and all the stuff that's around you in the Western society. There's a story behind that. Going to college or going to university in Denmark, and then spending a year in St. Louis, Missouri in the US, and then coming back to Denmark, and then coming back to Belgium, and things that changed a little bit. There's a story behind that. But if we don't spend enough time with people and get them to open up and share that. And it also goes back to the notion of, like you mentioned in the intro, how hearing yourself being introduced is like, wow, I sound pretty important, right? When someone goes through their story and you start to pull out the gems that are embedded, that are buried in their story, people start to realize that, yo, hold up, I got something to say. It's like, yo, hold up, I have something of value. And again, this is here. It just all revolves around the narrative, the storytelling, and how you market that to those that are in need of what it is you provide.
Absolutely. And that's what we're trying to do. And that's not what we're trying to do. That's what we're doing.
There you I was going to get on you about that. Yeah.
I know. That's what we're doing is, the African way,
Woo! Yes.
Have a sit down and have a conversation.
So hold on. So let's get into that. So and we'll talk about in a second. We'll jump into you and I's connection here. But you mentioned the African way, right? Yeah. And we had a long conversation not long ago about how you're doing things and why you're doing things, but then what is that point of differentiation that you and the company that you all are putting together, that you all are working on, that you all are doing, the point of differentiation between that and how the vast majority of people are operating throughout Europe. Talk to us a little bit about the African way. And again, you and I talked about this before, so give it to us.
So the African way is this, like, if my parents or my father want to teach me something, he's not gonna take a board and start writing things. He's just gonna say, "Oh, let's have a sit down." And immediately as a kid, like you were always like, "Oh, what did I do? What did I do wrong? Blah blah blah, etc." But he just want to have a conversation and talk you through, the reasoning why you are doing things good or bad, or even, explain you a concept. But he doesn't explain it sometimes, directly. And that's sometimes the African way. He's telling it in the form of a story, like how he went through, his challenges, and, how he battled through. And, for me, the most important thing that I learned from my father is, and since when I was a kid, he was always speaking to me, like, and I didn't understand it till this day. Like, now it clicked. Is you gotta be patient.
Ooh, man, you're talking of, and we mentioned again, narrative, marketing, and storytelling. You just highlighted storytelling. You mentioned or highlighted doing it the African way. And sometimes with technology or with systems, we can make things more efficient, right? So when you make something more efficient, what you're doing is you're removing a lot of friction, right? You're making it smooth. But the thing is, when it comes to actually connecting with someone, you want a lot of friction, because that friction, when you have friction between two things and you rub them together, that's when things get hot. Think about that. If you want to start a fire by rubbing two sticks together, you need friction. It doesn't happen without that friction. And so, to your point, systems and technology and various tools can make things more efficient and remove the friction. But there are times in which the value is actually embedded in the friction. So therefore, we have to storytell, give context, give reasoning. Let me explain it in a way and give you an example, but also let me be patient, because I want you to process and get this. Because if you can process and get this, then that's something that you have the capacity to share with someone else as they're coming along on this journey. Otherwise, it's efficient, it's effective, we're moving forward. I can't tell you how I got there, but it's efficient, it's effective, and we're moving forward. I don't have that friction. That friction at times is necessary.
Yes, 100%. And that friction, that's how, the relationship with my father got only better and better with the years. Because, he was in a space of patience that I wasn't. I'm patient as a youngster. You try to get it, or hustle everything. But the moment you understand that, patience is not about like, waiting and, it's going to come. It's just by be. You just got to be. Right. And when the moment I understood that as well, and, what my father taught me as well, as which is very big, is conflict resolution.
Talk to us a little bit about that. Like, how did he teach you conflict resolution, or how did you garner, some insight on conflict resolution from your father?
Well, it was funny. It was a few years ago. Like, I was in my room, and then my, parents, they were arguing. And, I'll come from my room, and immediately as a boy, what you gotta protect your mom, right? So I picked a side. I picked my mom's side, not even understanding the conflict, what was happening. Which is, first of all, it was not even my business, because I'm a child. There's some grown folks things. And I picked my mom's side. I said, yeah, no, you're wrong to my dad. And, but he stayed calm. I'm like, yo, like he's not reacting on my extras. So the moment when I calm down, he's like, okay, come with me, come with me. And he went to the garage, and he talked to me. So like, listen, I'm not gonna talk to you as your father. I'm gonna talk to you as a man.
Mm-hmm.
I'm 25. I'm already 50.
Mm-hmm.
You're a man. And before even picking a side, I want you to listen to both parties.
Mm.
Use your ears, not your emotions.
Mm.
Use your ears, not your emotions. So
Love it.
listen to my side of the story, listen to your mom's side of the story, and then now from there on, you can make your argument. But don't pick a side because you're emotional because this is your mom. Because one day you will be in a position that you will have the opportunity to make big decisions, and if you utilize and choose from an emotional standpoint, not even a listening from both parties, and try to uh, conflict resolution, create minimize that conflict, then you're never gonna win. And this is from a man talking to you, not your father. Woo, Mike.
Man, can I tell you, it was so powerful because he taught conflict resolution, but then he also talked about emotional regulation, right?
Mhm.
And understanding that we have emotions. And I use an analogy all the time that says emotions should ride in the car with you. You should keep them with you. You should have emotions. They're there for a reason. They can ride in the car with you. They can ride shotgun. They can sit in the passenger seat, right? Mm-hmm. But you should never give emotions the keys to your car. Mm. Because the thing is, when you're it's in alignment with what your father said. When we're led by our emotions, a lot of times we're going to end up making the wrong decision. And that's why we have to take a step back, process, and think. Keep emotions. Emotions are there. We're supposed to get excited. We're supposed to get sad. We're supposed to be mad. We're supposed to be scared at times and upset. These things they're here for a reason. You have emotions for a reason. You just should not let emotions lead the charge. When they lead the charge, that's when we have issues. It was a quote that I posted a few weeks back, might have been a couple of months ago, but basically it was talking about the concept of how an emotionally unregulated man is a danger to everyone involved. Yeah. A man that does not have emotional control is a danger to everyone involved. Yeah. And that's why, as men specifically, we have to find ways to manage our emotions, because those are the things, our unregulated emotions are the things that cause us to do things that are out of character, which could end up hurting people or making us or causing us to do something that we'll ultimately regret. So, man, your father dropped a freaking bar with that.
Yes. And that's why I believe, like, in hindsight, when I look back, it's like I am who I am because I'm a product of my father. And the biggest mistake that us as millennials kids are doing is not having a sit down with our parents, talking to our elders. It's not about that right or wrong. It's just, hey, they're 20, 30 years older than you. They've been through those emotions. Mm-hmm. They've been through those mistakes, because things about life is, most of the time there are people who already went through that, and you can either learn from them or learn from your own mistakes. But sometimes when you learn from your own mistakes, you might burn, and you might never come back. Mm-hmm. And and having a father, having structure in the house is so much important for young men. Mm-hmm. And I'm very grateful, and that's whatever success of that will happen in the future, but I know who I am.
Woo! In spite of, because of, or regardless of the success that has already happened and that will happen in the future, it doesn't really matter, because you know who you are.
I know who I am, and so I walk differently. I talk differently. I move differently. And I can respect everybody in their own walks of life because I know who I am. So I don't need to be any superior or inferior to nobody. I'm not a minority or a majority because I know who I am.
I love it. Dude, I'm gonna tell you, it's so interesting. And I guess we can kind of jump into our connection because, you know, you and I have been connected for how long? Like almost a year now. How long has it been? Been close to a year. And it's been really a pleasure to get to know you over this last year and, you know, connect and really kind of dive into, you know, your thought process, your mind frame and how you operate. And it's interesting, the whole concept of knowing yourself, because I take it back to you and I's first conversation about a year ago. Remember, you introduced yourself as Clement, right?
Yes. Yes, sir.
Do you remember that conversation?
I remember.
So you want to tell them about what happened then when you said, "Yeah, my name is Clement," and I was like, "That's interesting." Yeah, talk to me a little bit about that.
Yes. So I introduced myself as Clement because when I went to study abroad, that's when I said my name is Clement. They didn't understand and said, "Oh, okay, the way I read it is Clement, right?" I was like, "Okay, yeah, it's Clement." So I accepted that way to call me Clement, but that's not the name that my parents gave me. And that's why you were saying, like, if people continue to, you know, call you in a name that it's not you, you know, your energy is also different. Your frequency also change. So you need to be firm and tell them, okay, listen, it's Clement. And if you cannot speak it, let me teach you. But it's Clement. So it's not Clement. It's not Clement. No, it's Clement. And the moment I started to say that, you know, surprisingly, you know, when now if I'm speaking to an English speaking person, immediately they respect that. They said, no, it's Clement. And funny enough, they can pronounce it. It's not they can't.
See. So check this out. It's interesting. You know, I made a post actually earlier today, and it revolves around the fact that most people are able, they're just not willing. Most people are able, they're just not willing. And if we're not willing to, you know, position it in the right way, then they have no incentive to do it that way because they're able. If they can say this word and that word, they can say Clement. Unless there's something wrong with their tongue, then they're not talking anyway, right? But if they have a functioning tongue in their mouth, they can say Clement, right? And so it's just one of those things where, and it's kind of like an aha moment where you come to realize most people are able, they're just not always willing. And that revolves around everything when it comes to starting a podcast, starting a business, going to school, learning how to do something. You know, it was interesting. If you look at today's day and age, you have information at your fingertips. There is not anything out there that you could not learn right now. As long as you have a phone or connection to the internet or whatever, you can learn anything. There's nothing hidden from you as it pertains to information or education. Everything is open, right? The question or the issue for a lot of people is they don't have the will to do what it takes to get to where it is they say they want to go. And so, and it's an interesting perspective. It's a guy that I follow. He's a rapper out of the West Coast of the US. His name is LaRussell. He's out of the Bay Area, out of, I think, Vallejo specifically. And he did a question and answer, and someone asked him, what's something that you wish you knew 10 years ago that you know now? And he said, oh, it's simple, that everything is about the work. He said, had I done the work 10 years ago, I would have the success that I'm having now 10 years ago. But you can't bypass the work because, again, the information is there. The knowledge is there. The question is, are you willing to do what it takes?
Oh, wow. That's really powerful. When you say, when you say that, like, information is there, that's true. And there is sometimes even over
It's too
too
much.
much. It's too much.
That's it. Well, can I tell you? And I think that's an interesting perspective because we have so much information, so much education. Oh, I want to learn how to start this, and I want to learn how to do this. Dude, you got the playbook for anything you could imagine that you want to do. The playbook is there. The question is, are you willing to take the steps to get there? And that's the part that, I referenced throughout this whole podcast, over the hundreds of episodes. I've referenced this book a lot, and it's called The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho. And the whole concept of The Alchemist is, as you pursue your personal legend, the universe conspires to help you along on your journey. But the thing is, you have to start that pursuit. And as you start the pursuit, that's when things start opening up. You know what I'm saying? Like, look at your journey, right? As you started this pursuit with Klitsch and reaching out to entrepreneurs and creatives, things started opening up. Opportunities started opening up. As you started pursuing and you opened up to your father, you came to realize that your dad is the plug. He's done so many things that could help you on your journey, but you had to start walking, and then this thing started opening up. Talk to us about how some things have opened up for you in the very recent past.
Yeah, and for me is, first of all, starting with you, like, and understanding, like, this personal development that people sometimes don't want to give credit to, and for your audience, like even for my audience, I just want to give you a shout out publicly to say thank you, Mike Dorsey, for allowing me to be me. And a lot of people, trying to be a copycat, but you're already amazing, man. You're already amazing. You're already unique. And even in business, they always tell you, what is your differentiation? What is your value proposition? And your value proposition is, you're already different. So capitalize on that. Capitalize on that difference. And the moment that I realized, like, okay, you know what comes easy for me and it comes very difficult for others. And that's when we were having conversation, you were always asking the question, Clement, what is your gift? I don't know. Clement, what is your gift? Every single time, what is your gift? And you always added to, your gift will make room for you. And that's the only thing that I always wake up with. Your gift will make room for you. And the moment I embraced it, I was like, you know what? Like, if I look back, I've been to a lot of spaces, a lot of countries in such a young age, and connected with a lot of, different cultures. I am a connector. I don't know how you can make money out of it. And you were focused, like, don't focus on the money, just focus on the gift. I'm like, yeah, Mike, but I don't focus on the gift. And that's what I've been doing. The moment I realized my gift will make room for me, and from there on, I am a connector. And what do you want to connect? That's another question. What do you want to connect? I was like, oh yeah, I see amazing, Black people, but they are doing some businesses, but I want to utilize also my marketing skills. How can I help those founders with their marketing?
Come on, man.
That's how I want to connect. And that's the way, I truly believe I want to, walk in my purpose. If somebody else is doing somebody different, that's amazing. And I applaud that. I see, this is your genius, amazing. But I don't want your genius. I have my own genius.
Oh, I don't want your genius. I want to lean into my genius.
Yes.
Come on, man.
Yes.
Come on, man.
I've played basketball. I've played basketball since I was 7 years old, Mike. And I was the point guard. I was not the tallest. I was not the fastest, but I was a point guard. And when you realize as a point guard is every single time is everybody has their own position. Play yours.
Dude, let me tell you what's funny about that. So you're talking about playing point guard, right? what does a point guard do typically?
Well, to be honest, for me, like how I saw it when I was playing, it was like helping other people being in their right position.
Oh, that's all I'm getting to. So check this out. So think about this. In basketball, the stat line, if somebody plays center and they say, oh, this guy had 12 and 10, right? Mm-hmm. 12 and 10 as a center or a forward is typically 12 what? 12 points?
Yeah, 12
and
points.
10 rebounds, right?
Yes, sir.
If you play point guard and somebody has 12 and 10,
mm-hmm.
they're probably talking about 12 points and then 10 assists. There you go. See, it's interesting. You're the connector, right? That's what you're called to do, to connect people. And it's interesting that the position you played in basketball was point guard, because that's what a point guard does. It makes sure other people are in the right positions. It connects the dots. You dish out assists. Every so often, guess what? You can take it to the hole if you need to, right? But you're more so about setting other people up so that the team can win. And that's what you're called to do. That's amazing, man. It's funny how art imitates life, because the position that you were playing on the basketball court was representative of the position that you play in life.
And that's something I just wanted to give you credit for, because you gave me the opportunity to realize that sometimes, it's not about for your young people, also have, my youngster Simon, who's playing basketball, and I'm trying to teach him the game of basketball from the point of view of life. Is what can you abstract from basketball? What can you abstract from the sports that you're playing? It's not always about being the league. There's only like, I don't know, 420 jobs.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it doesn't mean that's your gift though. You may be talented, but it doesn't mean that's your gift. And sometimes people make the difference between passion and gift. Your passion, I can be passionate about beer today. Yeah, you have to be 21 to drink.
Yeah.
You have to be 21 to drink. Yeah. But it doesn't mean that that passion is my God-given gift, because I didn't come from the room and say, yeah, I'm passionate about beer. It doesn't make sense. But what I want to give again credit to my parents is the amazing education and the amazing the way they raised me is since when I was a kid, a lot of people African families, people come, etc. But I was a kid who always loved to go and sit down with the elders and to listen and to ask questions. And no way my parents gave me that crazy eye or say, be quiet, young boy. They allowed me to do so because my question came from a place of curiosity. And I was always asking questions. And now in hindsight, now that I'm sitting here having a conversation with you on the African way, and that's what we are doing actually with Klitsch, is having conversation, asking questions, being curious in your space. How did you become like a cook? Like, what is the future of culinary? How did you become like a tech person? What is the future of tech? These are from a place of curiosity. I just want to know. I just want to learn and absorb. And life is about learning anyway. So if I can spotlight those amazing people who maybe haven't been valued from society, haven't been valued even from their own family members, that's what we want to do. We want to bring you on. We want to value you. We want to say, we appreciate your genius. Continue, create, change your world, because you are the future. And we want to be part of the future.
Man, embrace your genius. tell the story. We want to be a part of the future, and you are a part of the future. And so therefore, being connected gives us a connection to the future. So, brother, like, how can people listen to Klitsch Talks? How can they follow you on social media? Just give all the tags. And is there anything that you like us to do in support of what you have going on, brother?
So yeah, go ahead and subscribe to Klitsch Talks. When you put Klitsch Talks, on YouTube, you will find everything. You can go to Instagram as well, Klitsch Talks, or you can follow me as well, Clement Boss on Instagram. So yeah, I just want to say, thank you for the international opportunity.
Man, look here, brother. You're global, man. So don't even, I'm just here to chat with you and share, a relationship that I have with you, with the world. And I know somebody gained something from this conversation, and something that they learned from your journey, your story, will help them to maximize their impact, but then also to gain dynamic fulfillment in life. And that's what this thing is all about with this particular platform. It's like my calling is to encourage, empower, and enhance people to maximum impact and fulfillment. And the story of Clement Iradukunda,
yes, sir.
Help others do that. You did.
I also wanted to give a shout out to you, Mike Dorsey, as well, and to my audience that, please, if you don't know like what your gift is, holla at my brother Mike Dorsey, because he definitely gonna work with you, listen to you, and identify basically what your genius is, and from there on you can immediately operate from that. And then you come back and we can have a conversation with us, at Klitsch Talks, so we can, share it with the world.
Yeah, I love it, man. I appreciate it, brother. I receive it. And man, keep doing what you're doing. You and I are gonna stay connected no matter what. So yes, we got a deep connection. And so, man, keep doing what you're doing. I'm proud of you, my man. And fellas, ladies, everybody listening, make sure to always follow Coach Mike D on all social media outlets. Share this thing out. Impact and Fulfillment with Coach Mike D. This here is going to change some lives. And if it changed your life in any way, shape, or form, make sure you share it with 10 of your friends. Leave ratings on Apple Podcasts and all the different places so we can kick up on the charts. And until next time, y'all be blessed, well, and wise. And I'll holler at you. Peace.
I really hope you enjoyed today's episode. Make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and follow Coach Mike D everywhere on social media. Y'all be blessed, well, and wise.